If you're a heating and air conditioning technician or even a salesperson, maybe even a plumber, and your company was bought out by a private equity firm, what should you expect and why does it matter? This is a fantastic question. I'm Scott Bell, coming to you live for HVAC Technician Sales Secrets on a perfect day to talk about sales and business and a fantastic day to talk about you. Okay, so at some point, your company will probably sell. Right now, the market is hot for heating and air, plumbing, roofing, and electrical companies. Private equity really loves these things, so they're buying them up. There's a couple of really big consolidators out there that are buying tons of companies and rolling them together. Right now, there's probably about 10 of them. Eventually, what ends up happening is they all end up buying each other out. In the marketplace, there's going to end up being 3 of these big companies that own 80% of the market. The other 20% are going to be owned by smaller individuals. And you're like, hey, Scott, why do they do that? Okay, I'm going to give you a quick crash course in mergers and acquisitions. If I have one company that has one department that takes care of HR and one department that takes care of accounting, that company is whole doing everything by itself. But if I take 2 companies and I go, hey, I'm going to take the HR division and the HR division, we're going to smash them together. We're going to let a couple people go. We're going to put the HR division over here, and that HR is going to run everything for our 2 companies, okay? And then the same thing for accounting. We got an accounting department here and an accounting department here. We're going to smash those 2 together. We're going to put accounting over here on the side. So now we've got HR and accounting. And they're like, okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get a 3rd company. And we're going to take a 3rd company. And what happens is all of these departments start getting put together, okay? And so the cost to run that company goes lower. So like some of these big consolidators have 30, 40, 50 companies. They've got an entire HR department that runs off of 10 people that supports 40 companies. Giving you random numbers, that's probably not entirely accurate, but that's how it works, okay? So knowing what you know now about mergers and acquisitions, there's a couple other things. If I can go to one manufacturer and I've got 40 companies, they're going to give you a better buy down rate. So let's say a condenser or a heat pump costs Bob or Chuck in a truck $2,500. What ends up happening is sometimes those suppliers will go, Chuck over here is only buying 10 of these a year, but you're buying 10,000. It's not $2,500 for you, it's $1,800. So there's like a $700 give, right? And so when you start looking at every department, you've got marketing, you've got sales, you've got fulfillment, you've got vehicles, you've got leasing, you've got insurance. You do get better buy downs, you do get better rates, and even including financing. So you're like, hey, Scott, are you going to tell me about why private equity and what to expect is going to happen? Yeah, but I needed you to know there's like 4 or 5 things up front of why things are going to roll the way that they're going to roll. Now, here's the thing. If you want to be better at sales, you want to be good at what you do, you should absolutely join my email publication, hvactechsecrets.com. I'll give you the goods, not in the Facebook group, not in the YouTube channel. Okay, so not everything is bad. I want to tell you, not everything is bad. There's some good. There's some absolute good that comes from being bought up by a big consolidator, private equity, an investor. And then there's some things that are like, okay. So here's what to expect. You are going to be at the office one day and you're going to look at your phone, you're going to look at your tablet, and you're going to say, all hands on deck meeting tomorrow. Okay. And you're going to show up and your management team's going to be there. They're going to be dressed really spiffy. And there's going to be some random people that you don't know, right? Probably dressed really nice. There's going to be a really good breakfast or a really good lunch, depending upon how they do this. And they're going to say, hey, we want to make an announcement. Scottco has decided to sell. They're going to go retire. And Belco just came and bought the company. So here's what's going to happen. We've got all of our HR team. We're going to release you from Scottco, and you're going to get hired to Belco. So we're going to explain the new benefits. We're going to give you the new package. We're going to talk to you about this new package. And your benefits will probably be better because, like, once again, they're buying in a group. It's like if you can buy everything in a group, things tend to get better. So like you were paying $500 a month, you're probably going to pay $200, right? Your dental plan gets better. Your vision plan gets better, right? And here's what's going to happen. Step number 2. Hey, Scott, owner of the company, is going to stick around for 3 to 6 months. He's going to be here as part of the agreement. So you'll have access to him. But me, Scott, owner, I have no say of how that company runs anymore. I'm hands off. I'm just there to help for the transition. So if you're like, hey, I love Scott, he's the owner, and if there's a problem a month out, Me, if I'm Scott, owner of Scottco, I've got no say in the matter because Belco owns the company now, right? Bell Company. So here's what happens for 6 months, 180 days. Nothing is going to change, right? Nothing's going to change. Management's going to stay the same. There's going to be a couple people who show up and they just observe. And then at day like 181, here's where the changes happen. Here is what's going to happen. HR, they're going to say, hey, HR is no longer in-house. You're going to talk to the company, wherever it may be. Like I'm in Sacramento. It could be in Vegas, right? Or it could be in Wyoming. It could be in Seattle. It doesn't matter where. But like one of the first places that they take out of a company is going to be HR, human resources. So your favorite person in human resources is probably going to be gone. And then accounting, because remember in the beginning of the video, I talked about HR and accounting end up getting pushed to another location. So prices are going to go up. Like within 30 to 60 days, prices are going to go up. That's the one change that almost every company comes in and makes. Like, hey, we're going to raise prices. So your compensation plan is going to change a couple of times. Your compensation plan is probably going to go from piece rate to flat rate. They may increase your hourly, but they're going to have like some different job descriptions, some different roles, and some different things. Now remember, this typically doesn't always happen within the first 6 months, but I'm telling you, it's coming, right? Performance here, from here on out, if you just got bought today, the name of the game is performance. You are going to be judged against every other person in your company and then every other company in the portfolio. So let's say there's 20 companies, 40 companies, 100 companies, 200 companies. It doesn't matter what it is. There is now a leaderboard. And so the managers that you work for, their team is against the other 20, 40, 60, 80, 200 in the leaderboard. You as a technician, you as an installer, you as a salesperson, you're up against the rest of the 20, 40, 60, 80, 200 people, and it is a freaking competition, right? So the management's going to have levels pushed down on them to make sure that they're performing, and then that's going to roll down to you, whereas you might have charged $250 for a capacitor. Not anymore. They're like $500, right? They're like $600. Because remember, it's revenue. So the new manager has to earn their spot, right? The manager has to earn their spot because they're constantly being judged, and so are you. And then in this role of where performance is the game, it's all about commission gets position. It makes no sense. It makes zero sense. It makes 0 sense. But here's what's going to happen is you can have a guy that comes in and sells a whole bunch of jobs that lose money, but since he sold jobs, he's going to get moved up in the gig. He's going to get more leads. He's going to get more opportunity to sell because it's going to look like he's performing. Like they're not looking at, hey, who's got the best metric for, when the job sold, what was profitability? No. That dude sold more. It makes no sense. That dude sold more, not profitable, but he sold more, so he wins. Okay. So somebody you look around and you're like, what? This does not make sense. This does not make sense to me. Not at all. Not at all. Okay. So here's what happens at about month number 7. Management gets replaced. About half your management team is going to get replaced. And there's a couple of reasons for it. One, they were probably not performing in those first 6 months. Okay. 2, there's no more promises. So the owner by this point is probably out of the building. Scottco owned the company. Now it's Belco. So the owner's out of the building, and all of the promises that were made to the previous employees from ownership and management, they've gone away. We got new managers. New managers means new rules. So this is where new commission plans, new pricing comes out, probably a different brand of equipment, maybe some different vehicles, maybe part of your fleet comes over from, the company from across town or from 4 hours away, and you're like, I thought I was working for Belco. Why am I driving a car from Jimco? We're all the same company. Okay. Here's what happens next is probably within 2 to 3 years, if that company's performing, if that portfolio is performing, that whole portfolio is going to be sold off again. Okay. So you're going to go through the same process again in about 2 to 3 years, excuse me. Private equity tends to hold on to companies in a package for 5 to 7 years. So if you've worked for this company and private equity bought you and you went from Scottco to Belco, you're probably going to be bought again year number 4, year number 5, and it's going to turn into Jimco, right? And then, excuse me, it's going to happen again where that portfolio is taken and it's sold again, and now it's Steve Co. So you have to be aware that there's levels to this, and this is how it works. But here's what I want to let you know. There is some absolute good that comes from it. You're going to have better access to training. You're going to have better access to coaching. You're going to have some better people all around you to push you up. But sometimes you get typecast. Sometimes you get pushed down because you do not have commission gets position. So here's what I recommend. If your company just got bought out by private equity, I would find your own personal coaching, your own personal training to make sure that at month number 6, your numbers are up. That they're not coming to you and going, hey, your numbers are down. Like, it's a fair warning. Like, it's a start gun. It's a race. You've got 180 days. You better get some stuff straightened out, preferably 120 days to get your game on to say, here's what I'm going to do. Here's how it's going to work. Here's what the opportunities are. Now, last up, you do not have to sell your soul. You do not have to go to crazy town and say, hey, look, I'm going to do the commission gets position, but I'm going to lie, cheat, and steal. I would highly encourage against that. I would highly encourage and say that would be what we refer to as the wrong way to do it. And if you do end up working for a company that encourages you to sell your soul, there's a lot of really good companies out there that don't encourage you to do those things. So if you're like, Scott, what should I expect if private equity or an investor buys my company? I think I've laid out a pretty good plan for you over the last 11 and a half, 12 minutes. You got 1 of 3 things to do from here, just 1 of 3. Find the subscribe button, click on it, and every time I send out a video, you'll get an update. 2, hit follow. 3, you know what you got to do. Share this video with a friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.